Welcome to this YouTube channel. In this video we are going to talk about 10 best benefits of vitamin K2. So before starting this video, like this video, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for future updates. Vitamin K plays a key role in blood clotting by modifying protein molecules. Despite the fact that the isoprenoid units in the vitamin K molecule have varied length side chains, the enzyme glutamyl carboxylase utilizes them to activate certain proteins. These proteins, which include prothrombin, are involved in blood coagulation, bone metabolism, and soft tissue calcification inhibition. Vitamin K1 and vitamin K2 are the two primary forms of vitamin K. Both are necessary for maintaining bone and heart health, as well as hemostasis. Several studies have found that vitamin K2 has higher health benefits than vitamin K1. It helps with skin health and bone metabolism, as well as cognitive function and heart disease prevention. Vitamin K2 is also necessary for the body's usage of calcium in the formation of bones, and the prevention of blood vessel calcification. Vitamin K2 can be found in animal and canned foods. It isn't found in junk food or in Western diets that are too restrictive. Cereals, fatty pork, eggs, and fish all contain vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 is also synthesized by microorganisms in the large intestine. The following are 10 advantages of vitamin K2. Number 10. The role of vitamin K2 in bone metabolism. A thin hard outer membrane, periosteum, covers a soft spongy matrix laced with blood and lymphatic capillaries in human bone. The skeleton is constantly replaced, so every 7 to 10 years it is totally replaced. Calcium from the bone is transported to the bloodstream during the remodeling process. Osteoblasts and osteoclasts are in charge of calcium replenishment. Number 9. Vitamin K2 and the prevention of cardiovascular diseases. Vitamin K2 is also important for preventing calcification in blood vessels, and supporting heart health. Vitamin K2 protects blood vessels by activating matrix GLA protein, MGP, which prevents blood vessel calcification. As a result of a vitamin K2 deficit, MGP becomes uncarboxylated, or inactive, resulting in cardiovascular disease. Vitamin K2 also has a role in blood coagulation. K2 is needed for the synthesis of particular proteins involved in blood coagulation, which helps to avoid internal and external bleeding. Number 8. A vitamin K2 deficit causes MGP to become inactive, limiting calcium clearance from blood vessels and increasing the risk of blood vessel calcification and, eventually, cardiovascular disease. A daily dosage of at least 32 mcg of vitamin K2 should be ingested through one's food to ensure a healthy heart and prevent issues due to calcification. Number 7. Vitamin K2 also aids in the maintenance of blood vessel flexibility, which has been shown to be useful in postmenopausal women in several clinical trials. According to one study, these women who took vitamin K2 pills had a slower age-related loss in bone mineral density. Number 6. Both kinds of vitamin K are required for the production of prothrombin, a protein involved in blood clotting, bone metabolism, and heart health. Vitamin K also aids in the creation of energy in the mitochondria of cells. The primary function of vitamin K1 is to aid in blood coagulation. In the body, K2 may have a broader range of roles. Researchers discovered an association in a long-term study including 36,629 people. There is a link between increased vitamin K2 intake and a lower risk of peripheral artery disease, PAD, especially in persons with high blood pressure. The scientists found, however, that K1 had no influence on the likelihood of PAD. Number 5. Vitamin K contains antioxidant capabilities. Which is number 5. In a process known as peroxidation, it shields cellular membranes from damage caused by excess free radicals. Vitamin K's antioxidative capacity can be lowered by blood thinners like warfarin. Since the early 1930s, when vitamin K was identified, all of the focus has been on its involvement in coagulation. Although the K1, phylloquinone, and K2, menaquinone, forms of the vitamin were discovered at the time, they were assumed to be minor structural differences. The unique character of vitamin K2 was only established in the 21st century. Number 4. Unlike vitamin K2 deficiency, vitamin K1 deficiency is extremely rare. One, because vitamin K2 insufficiency is a possibility, it's critical for RDs to understand this little-known nutrient, and the benefits it can have on their clients' and patients' heart and bone health. Number 3. Bone health. Getting adequate calcium in your diet isn't enough to keep your bones healthy. Aside from the apparent relevance of this mineral, additional factors that affect bone mineral density include vitamin D and magnesium intake, low-grade systemic inflammation, weight-bearing activity, and intestinal health, with vitamin K2 being added to the list. This fat-soluble vitamin is necessary for the activation of osteocalcin, a protein generated by osteoblasts, the body's bone-building cells. When vitamin K2 is activated, osteocalcin can attract calcium to the bones, where it is incorporated into the bone matrix by osteoblasts. In addition, when vitamin K2 is coupled with vitamin D3, osteoclasts, the cells responsible for bone resorption, are inhibited. According to a recent study, vitamin K2 intake seems to have a significant impact on the incidence of hip fractures in Japanese women. When compared to Western Japan, where natto is not often consumed, regular use of natto, a fermented soy meal high in vitamin K2, is related with a much lower risk of hip fractures in Tokyo. Studies comparing the effects of vitamin D and vitamin K, including K1 and K2, intake in institutionalized elderly patients with home dwellers found that higher vitamin D and vitamin K, including K1 and K2, intake reduced bone fractures. 2. Cardiovascular health. The same osteocalcin protein that vitamin K2 activates also activates matrix GLA protein, MGP, which is in charge of removing excess calcium from soft tissues like arteries and veins. This role becomes even more important when you consider that calcium makes up about 20% of atherosclerotic plaques, from the early stages of heart disease to the latter stages. According to a study published in the October 2008 edition of Thrombosis and Haemostasis, vitamin K2 activated MGP is the most effective factor in avoiding, and maybe even reversing tissue calcification associated with atherosclerosis. Diabetes patients had reduced MGP levels in their arteries, which could contribute, at least in part, to the greater risk of arterial calcification and cardiovascular disease reported in this group. The Rotterdam study, which tracked over 4,800 people aged 55 and above for up to 10 years, found a link between vitamin K2 use and aortic calcification. When compared to participants with mild to moderate aortic calcification, those with severe aortic calcification had a decreased intake of vitamin K2. 1. K2 deficiency and calcium supplementation. Many doctors advise postmenopausal women to take calcium supplements to help prevent or cure osteoporosis. The question is whether they should, particularly if postmenopausal women are vitamin K2 deficient, which puts them at risk of cardiovascular disease. Calcium is the most abundant mineral in the bone matrix, but if it accumulates in veins and arteries rather than bones, it does not necessarily result in stronger bones. If a postmenopausal woman is lacking in vitamin K2, more research is needed to resolve this question about the efficacy and safety of calcium supplementation. Calcium supplements, on the other hand, are unlikely to be suggested based on existing research. Calcium supplementation did not reduce the incidence of hip fracture in men or women, according to a major meta-analysis published in the December 2007 issue of the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. Vitamin K2 food sources. In the meanwhile, recommending that clients and patients consume foods high in vitamins K1 and K2 for optimal health wouldn't hurt. While leafy greens are a good source of vitamin K1, animal products are the best source of vitamin K2. According to research published in the January 2006 issue of the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry, eating meat, particularly organ meat, mostly liver, chicken, beef, bacon, and ham, is the best way to get dietary vitamin K2. High-fat dairy products, particularly hard cheeses prepared with whole milk, supply substantial levels of this fat-soluble vitamin, as do egg yolks but not egg whites. Because of a special strain of bacteria employed in the fermenting process, natto is the only vegetarian source of vitamin K2. Although gut bacterial production appears to be possible, it does not appear to be sufficient in most people to prevent vitamin K2 insufficiency. Animals have a unique ability to synthesize vitamin K2 from the vitamin K1 they acquire from grass, which is why people can acquire vitamin K2 from animal-derived meals. As a result, meat, eggs, and dairy from pastured and grass-fed animals have higher vitamin K2 levels than those from grain-fed animals. Many of the finest food sources of vitamin K2 are also heavy in saturated fat, which has been blamed for contributing to heart disease despite a lack of evidence. A rigorous meta-analysis published in the January 2010 issue of the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, which included 347,747 subjects followed for up to 23 years, clearly demonstrated that there is a lack of significant evidence for blaming saturated fats for the development of coronary heart disease and cardiovascular diseases. Accordingly, those who drank the most vitamin K2 in the Rotterdam study consumed more total unsaturated fats, as well as having lower total cholesterol and greater levels of heart-protective HDL cholesterol. As a result, when monitoring the client's cardiovascular risk profile, RDs shouldn't be afraid to propose meals high in vitamin K2 despite the greater saturated fat content, especially if they emphasize high-quality, grass-fed and pastured animal sources. What do you think about this video? Do let us know down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from us again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.